Hi, thanks for watching a new video blog. Today from Tallinn, Estonia. Now many people do not understand that there is an underpopulation problem instead of an overpopulation problem. Especially people in Europe, they don't seem to understand this, whilst they have the most evidence that you can think about just around the corner. Now you might think, well, what are you talking about? Let me explain. I come from the Netherlands. I was born in the Netherlands. We are a quite densely populated country, 70 million people. Yet the population density is higher in only certain places. There's people crammed together, apartments everywhere. Any small space they will build new apartments, just like Hong Kong or Singapore. But it doesn't mean that the whole country is like this. Instead, most of the country is relatively empty. Many of the provinces are rather empty. And another thing is what is happening going also in these provinces is that they're dying out. Whole villages start to be losing their communal services because there are not enough people to maintain them. For example, you have this in Limburg, in the southern province, or in Zeeland. It's a province nearby the sea. Or in Groningen, or in North Holland, in the north. Many of these parts are just dying out. Whilst there is a housing crisis, that there's not enough housing, these places are just barely surviving. So the so-called housing crisis is mainly focused on the most urbanic places. But in the province, in the more rural areas, they don't have this problem. They have the opposite problem. There's an underpopulation problem. Villages are dying out. There's no new people coming in. Now the government is desperately importing a lot of immigrants every year to avoid the reality that the Netherlands is a dying country. That not only these villages are starting to die out, but many more. It will spread around because if the birth rate is extremely low, like in the Netherlands, one day there is a tipping point and there will not be any more inhabitants to live in these houses, and they will become empty, desolated, and eventually there will be nothing. And this is not only happening in the Netherlands. I guess by now many people will understand or know, have seen that in Italy and Spain whole villages are abandoned. Nobody is living there, just empty. Why? Because people don't have enough children. The birth rate is so low that the villages are just consisting of old people and they don't have enough children. So, of course, the houses will become empty. Because if you don't have new people, there's nobody to live there. And this happens more and more. More cities in Italy and Spain, in France, start to become ghost towns, empty. Now I don't know about you, but that sounds to me like an underpopulation problem. More and more cities are just empty. Nobody. And some boomers from the Netherlands, for example, they tried to do some activity there, you know, have a yoga retreatment studio, whatever. But of course that's not going to help, because when they die it's still empty. What they need, these villages, is big families. Big traditional Italian, Spanish, Dutch families. But if you understand that if a family has 10 children, they will form 10 new families. And this means 10 houses will be occupied by a family. And these families will maybe have also 10 children, then there will be even more houses in need. But if you only have 1 or 2 children, you can just replace. And if you have only 1 child or 0, like many Italians now, then of course 0 means 1 house will become empty. Now many people say like, oh yeah, but this is the reasons that they moved away to the cities because there's no work in the south, etc. But why is there no work? Because there's no need for work. There is nothing there. Because people are not having families, so there's no need for more services like grocery stores or any other stores that they need. No, of course not. If people are not having families or large enough families, then there's no need to do any activity there. That makes sense, of course. Say that now all of a sudden these families start to have like 12 children, then suddenly they need to open schools, they need to have kindergartens there, they need to have maintaining playgrounds, they need to have grocery stores because these children will eat a lot, they will need clothing shops. And that's another thing, if you have seen shopping areas in Europe, it's mostly empty. And that's not only because of online shopping. The main reason is that there's just not enough consumers anymore. Old people will not consume a lot. And if your population is mostly old, they have everything they need. I know elderly people and they are still wearing the same suit that they bought 20 years ago. They're not big spenders. This is another sign that Europe is turning into a ghost town. Empty shops, empty villages. So clearly a sign of underpopulation. Not a sign of overpopulation. Overpopulation would mean that there will be no more place to build new villages. That's not the case. The case is villages being abandoned, empty. Ghost towns for sale for €1. And eventually, what will happen? Well, the same as will happen to every civilization. What will be left are ruins and nothing more. The smart people would have already departed. They will go back in nature, just like with the Roman Empire. The wild tribes, natural tribes, would enter and would live naturally like fishermen, hunters, or nomadic, or live like a farmer of animals, not of grains, of animals. And that will happen. So underpopulation is all around you. And this now starts to happen in the most civilized places, like Japan, North America, Canada, Europe, Australia. But soon, when for example a country like India will have a lower than replacement birth rate, it will start to happen there. It will not only be Korea, they will be worse, it will be worse in Korea and in Japan and in Italy and Spain. But India will also be suffering from this. Mexico, their birth rates are also continuing to drop, and they will continue to drop because that is what happens with when birth rates go down. They continue to go down. It's impossible to get them back to their old levels, unless of course people start to live more traditional, go back to nature, etc. But they're not doing that because it's a civilization. So take a look around in any civilization at this moment, and you will see that there is no overpopulation, there is underpopulation. Ghost towns, ghost shopping malls, and who are still living? Single family households, only one people that is surviving, not having a family, not having children. And soon it will be all a desert, ruins of a past, of another civilization that has failed. My idea is live naturally, watch my videos about that, and you will learn how to do that. So that was for today from Tallinn, Estonia. I say thank you for watching, and I see you next time.